Some years ago, I had a very profound experience of seeing that truth, what was really true in this life, didn't reside in the thinking mind, that it came from a deeper place within. And then we came across this understanding and decided to become change coaches to support ourselves and other people to see the truth of life and the truth of how the mind works. So my interest has always been supporting people to restore health and lose weight naturally. So the question became, what is the deep value of this understanding and what I've seen as true in my own life? And I realized that the deep value was in pointing everyone to know the truth of who they are and how life works. And that could be shown in any discipline, whether it be about food or whatever our interests may be. So that has been a wonderful, very rewarding journey.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is we'll get people who come to us who want to know about reframing or want to know about using a technique or a strategy to try to shift that desire to grab food when we're not hungry. And how does what we share in this understanding, how is it different in that?
Yeah, when people come to us with, maybe they're even binge eating or, they eat when they're not hungry, the first question is, what do I do when this urge comes up? Mind wants to do things. We want to change things. And so I know there's a lot of strategies out there in dealing with situations that come up. A real popular one that we actually, or at least I did, I came across years and years ago, a reframing. So if something's occurring and I don't like the way I feel about it, I can kind of step back, I can create a different framework for what's occurring, and the feelings can kind of settle down. And so I can create change in that situation.
Well, change in that moment,
In that
at
moment,
least.
yeah.
Until that urge occurs again.
Yeah, until I get triggered again. But that's the thing, there's a lot of work going on right now about retraining the brain so that when we come across a similar situation, if we reframe and practice reframing often enough, we actually create different neural pathways so that we begin to respond differently, so we can retrain the brain. And I think there's some real value in that. But I think from what Connie has experienced and what we've learned in our coach training, we can go even deeper to where it's not just a matter of kind of dealing with life on a one-off basis. Oh, I'm in that state again, I can reframe, or I practice it enough so that situation where I get cut off in traffic, I don't get triggered anymore. It's kind of the brain, the mind, trying to change the way the mind works. And there's a way that we can really affect our relationship with everything in life without having to deal with it one-off. And that's when we have what we refer to often as a paradigm shift. And that's what this understanding that we coach around is about. It's about seeing life differently. It's about a paradigm shift, not unlike, I was thinking today, thinking about doing this talk, what it must have been like to live in like the 1300s, when it was pretty much common knowledge, let's say, certainly the common belief, the world was flat. Well, when I just believe, my paradigm is that the world is flat, whenever I would get close to the ocean, I would start thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to be careful now because at some point I'm going to fall off the edge of the earth. That's what was kind of the popular thinking. And so what a difference it would make in like the human psyche and the human collective consciousness as we woke up to the fact that, oh, the world is not flat, the world is round. So with that paradigm shift, now, as I start to approach the ocean, the whole fear of falling off the end of the earth doesn't come up because it doesn't exist in that paradigm. So the paradigm shift that we share in the understanding that we have found so significant and that Connie experienced in that moment when she saw truth wasn't in the mind, it was in her, in that deeper place within. And when she's talking about truth, I think what she's saying is almost like wisdom, our wisdom, even like our
Yes.
common sense.
Yeah.
The way, the intelligence that we have within us that aligns us with how nature works, how life works, this wisdom, this truth. When we align with that, that paradigm is going to provide us with the greatest stability in our lives. I think that's what you were saying, isn't it?
Yeah. And reframing or other kinds of techniques can have some temporary value for sure, and maybe even practiced enough, real long-term value. But when you see the truth of a situation, like when I see I'm reaching for potato chips to feel safe emotionally, when I see that connection, game over. And I think, oh, potato chips are going to make me safe, and I don't need to be safe. I already am safe. Then I don't have the urge to even go there again.
Well, maybe you should give a little more background for those who don't know your potato chip story. Well, how did potato chips and safety link up in your life?
Yeah, well, one time I noticed that I kept moving toward potato chips when I thought I should reward myself or felt a little bit uneasy with life. And a friend said to me, "Are you giving your well-being to potato chips?" And I reflected on that for a moment and I thought, yes, I am. That is the truth. So the next time the urge for potato chips arose, I just got real quiet so I could sink into that deeper place within. And I welcomed whatever was therein. And what I saw was, as a kid, one of the few times that I felt really safe around my father was when we went to my aunt's house for a barbecue and there were always potato chips. That was one time when he seemed to relax the most and be most stable. So it was like, whoop, just a flash of insight. I saw it quickly, and that was the end of the desire for potato chips.
So yeah, in a way, your potato chips were a way that you reframed that feeling you were having in the moment. It was based on a very old past experience, but it created the reframing that allowed you to relax.
Yeah.
Or it created that inner nurturing voice that allowed you to relax. So you dealt with that situation, life went on, but you're eating potato chips to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you saw that link, suddenly it didn't make sense anymore. And you could just relax.
Exactly. And it was very obvious to me in relaxing and getting quiet and welcoming the potato chip story and whatever the feeling was there, that I wasn't living from the mind. In that moment, the insight, the clarity came from that deeper place within. You could call it common sense, intuition, whatever. It's that place of knowing that we all have.
Yeah, so the paradigm shift that our coaching is founded on is that our experience in life, how we feel, like if Connie was feeling unstable for some reason, she'd go to potato chips to regain that stability. How we feel in any moment isn't the result of the circumstance we're in, which is what we tend to do. Because we experience life through our senses, something happens and I feel a certain way, it looks like it's outside in.
That what's out there, the circumstance creates the feeling here.
Right, I get cut off in traffic, anger comes up. Oh, that guy made me feel angry. So I'm gonna,
Yeah, I'm feeling stressed, so I need to find some potato chips.
yeah, so outside in. It's the way it looks, but I've had plenty of experience in my life showing me that it's not, it's a pretty bumpy ride when I interpret life as outside in. In the same way that, centuries ago when everyone believed the world was flat, it was a pretty bumpy road whenever I got close to what I perceived as might be the end of the earth because I thought it was flat, but it never was. In the same way, our experience of life never really is outside in. What generates the feelings, at least this has been my experience, and we invite you to explore this for yourself, because I actually keep testing it, questioning,
Yeah,
is
that's
it
good.
true that life really is inside out and not outside in? And I haven't been able to find an experience yet that hasn't proven true to the fact that, oh, what I'm feeling right now is a reflection of what I'm thinking about the situation. I'm generating it on the inside with my thinking, my interpretation of what's going on. So I get cut off in traffic, I'm thinking about that shouldn't be happening. Either that's going to make me late for work, or that guy could have killed me, or whatever. The feeling I have is a reflection of the thinking about what happened and not what happened. So the paradigm shift is that I begin to see life as being inside out, not outside in. So if a feeling comes up of insecurity in some way, I don't need to examine what just happened and try to change what's happened or avoid that ever happening again. Like Connie did, she reflects inside. I go inside, what am I believing right now that really isn't aligned with the way life really works? In terms of, is what just happened a real threat to my stability and security? Which, if I got cut off in traffic and there was no accident, I'm just as safe and secure as I was before I was cut off. So it's being able to view life through this new paradigm of inside out rather than outside in. That kind of saves us from having to deal with circumstance after circumstance using a technique or a strategy to reframe or nurture myself with my inner voice. That allows me to kind of go upstream to diffuse those feelings from occurring that then I would need to use a technique for.
And if you'd like to experience this firsthand, we're happy to do a free coaching with you and let you begin to feel and really know the difference between outside in and inside out. The difference between relying on the thinking mind for your reality and or going deeper within and seeing the truth that can come from there.
Yeah, and what's been fun about working with people with a paradigm shift instead of just let's deal with your eating when you don't feel hungry, finding some strategies to deal with it, is that we work with people around food very often and gaining this new paradigm to see what's driving that desire to eat. And they'll come back to us a week or two later and talk about how differently they see their husband. Now they're seeing the relationship with their husband as being inside out and not outside in. And suddenly the guy looks like a whole different person. We've had people say, it's like I'm falling in love with my husband.
Yeah.
And it's just because the paradigm has changed. So that affects everything in our lives, not just our relationship with food or our coworker or whatever we want to apply this particular situation to.
So the recipe, well, if you want a coaching, just connect with us in the comments below and we'll be happy to give you a free coaching. No strings, nothing, just so you can experience what we're speaking of. The recipe today is really quick and really delicious. It's a brown rice tahini veggie casserole. And it's very quick to make and it is delicious. So try it and see what you think. We served it with a lot of cabbage and greens and string beans and a lovely nut dressing that we have on our website under dressings.
Okay, everybody, thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll be back next week.
Bye.